Today, we are going to be setting up the ChatGPT app with the ExtraHop MCP server. To do that, though, let's go ahead and have a look at the architecture, make sure we understand how all this flows, and then we'll get into how to get it set up. So first, whenever you deploy something like an MCP server, you're doing so in order to enable connectivity between an AI agent and some sort of a service that you want it to be able to interact with. In this case, the agent we're using is the ChatGPT app. Now, this used to be called Codex, so we're talking about the exact same app. The OpenAI rebranded it to just be ChatGPT, and that's fine. So the MCP server we're going to be deploying is what we call a STDIO version of an MCP server. So it just means it's going to be a local binary that lives on your computer, and it's going to communicate with the ExtraHop via REST API. So we see the exmcp right here, and it communicates back and forth with the agent over standard in and standard out, which is STDI and STDO for STDIO. And that is how the communication takes place. So all the MCP component is going to be completely local to the computer sandbox where you deploy it. Now the communication back to ExtraHop, as I mentioned, is going to happen over normal HTTPS 443 using regular REST API calls. This keeps that side of the connectivity standardized while allowing the agent running on your local machine to have the advantages of semantically easy to work with endpoints like you get with MCP, so it can transact with it over JSON RPC. Hopefully that makes sense, and if not, we can always dig into that later in a deep dive, but let's go ahead and get into setting this thing up. First thing you're going to need to do is pop open a browser, and you're going to go to github.com/extrahop, and you're going to navigate right over to repositories, and then you're going to find the agent MCP repo. Within this repo, you're going to go into the dist folder for distributions here, and we're going to want to download this whole directory here. So we could just go in here and grab just the file we need. I think an easy way to do this is to just go back to the repo, hit the code button, and download zip to grab the entire zip archive that we're going to be using. Okay, now that that's done, we've dropped that off inside of a local folder here on my machine that I made specifically for this. So I just have an exmcp folder on my C drive. So in that folder, we have the newly downloaded zip, and I'm just going to right click it and extract all. Now, all I really need out of here is just the MCP binary for Windows. So I'm going to drill down into it, find just the Windows binary. I'm going to use my breadcrumb trail here to get back to my exmcp directory. And I am going to drop it off right here. And then I'm going to delete both of these because I really don't need them anymore. I've got what I need. Okay, so now that we've got this located, we are going to pivot over to the ChatGPT app. So I'm going to drag that into view. This is the easiest out of all the major on-computer like agent mainstream big lab solutions compared to like Claude Code or GitHub Copilot. Like this one is so straightforward. You don't need to edit any JSON or do anything. We're just going to go up here to Edit, Settings, Plugins, MCPs, Add Server. I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it exmcp. It's standard in, standard out, STDIO style, so we'll leave that as it is. Now, command to launch. This one's pretty easy. We just need to grab the path to the MCP server binary. So to do that, we can go back to our folder here in Windows, right click, and copy as path. If copy as path isn't showing up for you, you might have to hit show more options, and then you'll find it down here. Now that we've got it on our path, got it on our clipboard, we will go back to ChatGPT and drop it in. Only thing we need to do now is remove these quotation marks that Windows put on it. So I'm going to take the last one off and the first one, and that's it. That's it for the command. Arguments, this is where we're going to put in the host of our ExtraHop that we're going to be connecting to. So something like tenant.cloud.extrahop.com, or if this is your local ExtraHop enterprise deployment, it might be something like extrahop.mydomain.com. For the environment variables, if it is a local enterprise deployment, we're going to use extrahop _API _key with the API key right there. If it is 360, we're going to use cloud ID and extrahop cloud secret. The information for this is available in the README back here on the GitHub. So I was just, making it easy. But if we go back to the README here and we scroll down, you'll find there's a section here for RX 360 versus RX Enterprise. and it tells you exactly what you need. So I was just following the direction. Pivoting back to ChatGPT, there's really nothing else to do other than hit save. I'm going to drop in my real credentials and we'll test it out. Okay, now that that's done and I've hit save, we see it showing up here in my servers. I should be able to now go back to my ChatGPT app, make a new chat, and say, get the most recent 5 detections in ExtraHop as a test. It looks like it pulled in a skill that I had that was only loosely related here. Not necessary, but as you can see, it easily was able to pull back those detections. So we now have a working integration, and I could begin to ask this agent questions about my ExtraHop environment. Easy as that. Very simple, very straightforward. It also has an option in there for pass-through variables. So if you need to set up your packet capture directory, you can use the pass-through variables field for that. But yeah, ChatGPT, easiest by far to get set up out of all of the mainstream harnesses so far that I've messed with. Hope that was helpful for you guys. Good luck and have fun playing with it. See you in the next one.